Hello, hello. I'm Thelma and I'm sitting in a small corner of the Calyx garden. I'm doing that because in today's episode we're going to show you the entire garden because it's our first anniversary on YouTube and we would like you to see the progress we made during that time, all because you have steered us in this direction. So don't go anywhere. Thanks for staying. And to set the stage for today's tour, I'll show you a brief clip of the front garden a year ago, followed by a quick overview of what it looks like now. We'll start this year's tour in the arrival area, and those of you who follow our videos should recognize this fence. We featured it in that video about 8 months ago called How to Transform a Metal Fence into a Lush Blooming Hedge. But obviously it cannot compete for attention with this spectacular bougainvillea, which has climbed about 20-25 feet in the air to frame this entranceway. And on the far side of the arrival area are the steps leading into the front garden. Last year we did not take a view from this vantage point because there was a tall croton hedge right here blocking out everything. But once we removed the croton, we actually removed the croton to give this amaryllis bed and this agapanthus bed more light, which they both need in order to bloom. But once we took down the croton hedge, it just opened up the garden as you come up these steps. So you immediately appreciate the various sections of the garden. The first area that we stopped last year, right here. And at that time, I described an anthurium, an orchid, and a bromeliad area. That area was these two sections here. And behind there was a row of fairly tall crotons. So what we've done recently, this entire area, we've removed the overgrown crotons, and in that we opened up the space. The bed now has a width of between 8 and 10 feet. Prior to that, it was just about 5 feet. So since this area had so much extra propagation material, we decided to expand into these additional 2 areas quite a bit. So we've actually tripled the area that we had in anthuriums. So this bay was originally anthurium, but this second area last year was orchids. Now, the orchids that were in this area, we've had to remove them, and some of them we have placed them in baskets or in the trees. So moving on from the area that had the orchids, which now has a lot of anthuriums, this third bay in this section of the garden has bromeliads. It's earmarked for bromeliads. The different types, the different growing arrangements, how we arrange them in terms of their flowering pattern. We're preparing the area now and we'll do a video as soon as we complete the planting. And moving on to this section, this lower section of the front garden, this lovely pink grapefruit been bearing now about 3 years, and what I love about it is the fruits come in at different times. So this bunch was the previous crop, ready to be picked, and we have the follow-up crop. In addition to grapefruit, we have a West Indian lime, a tangelo, and the Valencia orange. They are all affected by the citrus greening disease, and because of this, we have to pay close attention to their watering and nutritional requirements. And part of the fun in a garden such as this, especially with children, if you have cherry trees or any other fruit tree that is bearing, it is the greatest joy to pick and eat the fruits as you wander about the garden. And walking along this section of the garden that borders the busy main road, the collection of plants, they're growing quite dense. They're planted in several layers with the taller ones to the back. And here right in front, the ginger lilies are finally giving that splash of color. The crotons, the pandanus, as well as a bottlebrush. The bottlebrush tree has put on quite a bit of height and gives us the protection at the upper levels of the garden and in the home. So I think these trees are doing a wonderful job. They need no maintenance. We've added this bougainvillea to the front, again because it outgrew the pot and I needed somewhere to put it, but that also gives it this splash of color in the front. This pawpaw tree was planted about 4 months ago. It's growing quite well and sending out flowers already. It's only about 3.5 4 feet tall, and I am looking forward to it holding its own and actually looking for space to plant another tree, as the fruits are delicious and quite nutritious. Before I take you along the right side of the garden, let me pause so you can have a quick look back at the lower section of the garden. These past few months have been rather dry, and you can see that in the lawn. And continuing our tour up this line of palm trees, the first thing you'll see is this very heavy bunch of Christmas palm seeds. And here it is, May, June. Make an attractive show. Again, I see a splash of color in the distance. And this custard apple tree, last year at this time, it was half the size and had no leaves on it. And I told you it was just planted. And last year we got the first fruit, albeit one fruit, but it did bear last year. And it's flushing out nicely now, so I'm looking forward to a few more than one fruit this year. Lovely fruit. And moving on to the sago. Oh, there is an awesome sight here in the sago to show. This is a female plant entering its reproductive phase. So this big ball is where the seeds will be formed. It takes a while for the seeds to mature, and I'll be keeping a very close eye on this because I want some seeds to propagate more sagos. There's another plant in this group of 3 sagos that is also entering its reproductive phase. I'm keeping a photo record of this so I can bring you a video on the reproductive phase of sago palms. Continuing along the path I took last year, up the line of the Christmas palms, 4 Christmas palms in a line, up to what I had said was one of our favorite item in the front garden, what we call the cake tree. It's a variegated ficus that, done with great pains, have maintained in this unique shape. Here, take a look. And I'll have to do a video showing how he gets up to the top to keep it flat. Now, this is absolutely new. It's not a case where it has grown in the last year, but it was not here last year. And this is one of 3 of our amaryllis beds that, since we did the first video on amaryllis, I like them a lot, to the point where I am propagating and expanding and have gotten quite a few amaryllis, which may turn into an enterprise that we'll be happy to share with you. And here we are at the upper boundary of the front garden, and we have dwarf June plums, and they're ripening now, and if you're not careful you will miss them as they fall in this high wind. So these fell this morning, I'll come back for them. This caladium, they've started to emerge. They usually do that in the summer, and they're adding quite a bit of color to this bed. Lovely hibiscus, this ruffle, I like it. From afar it looks like rose. A rose by any other name could be a hibiscus. All right, this is yesterday, today, tomorrow. It's giving me a bloom way out of sequence. The Barbados Pride is in full bloom. We get a wonderful view of it from the home. This set of two curved beds. In last year's introductory video, they had sweet pepper as the main intercrop, and things have changed. This was the first area that we decided to expand the amaryllis. So the combination now is amaryllis and the hibiscus, different colors providing the partial shade. What I also did was to plant strawberries as a border plant, and they have been bearing, they have been producing fruits. The amaryllis, they've been in the bed now probably about 9 months. We've had two plants that sent up flowers, and here is a strawberry and another. So again, given the small amount of strawberries we have planted, this is there. It really is like a gift to me when I come in the garden early. I get my strawberries. I've saved the newest feature for last, and that's the two long beds forming an L shape right in the middle of the front garden. Well, if it's the first time you're watching, you would have missed those two videos where we showed you our installing this combination of orchid bromeliads and begonia beds. But yeah, this was our main project in this front garden. We started about 4 months ago. And in that short period of time, it really has lived up to its name as the centerpiece of the front garden. So that completes the tour of the front garden. Let's now take this winding path and visit the food section of the garden. And the first stop, the pineapples growing in pots. This wasn't here last year. We took advantage of this hard surface, which hitherto held nothing. We did a video of this about 4 months ago, and we plan to give you an update as soon as 1 or 2 of these pots start producing fruits. And next to the pineapples are 4 pots of tomatoes growing on a ledge. And in these beds, we are in the final stages of reaping the crops that were planted in the beginner backyard video about 3 months ago. The new addition to this area are 2 pots of dragon fruit. We're recording their growth, and as soon as they bear fruit, we'll do a video and share it with you. Let's move on now to the main section of the food garden, which is just around the corner. This too was part of the beginner backyard gardening video. We've reaped more than half of the crops so far. This is the Irish potato in the pot, which looks like it's almost ready. Callaloo, we've had several cuttings, but I've decided to allow it to flower so I can collect the seeds. The lettuce has been replaced by the string beans, and these are bearing nicely. Actually, time to pick. So this is a very short-term crop, and it looks good in a container. The thyme, big enough to start clipping and adding to your pot, as well as the scallions. This is the largest area of the food garden where we do most of the crop production demos. We've just replaced what was here with strawberries, and here is our newest bunch of bananas. The middle bed, at the front we have a crop of sweet peppers about to be finished. This is coriander. Most of the beds we have herbs interspersed. There is chives, and to a large extent that's part of our pest deterrent strategy. We have a range of herbs. This is mint here, And at the head of the bed with corn, we have the geraniums, another pest deterrent. And most of the pest deterrent herbs, they act because of the very fragrant nature. And any pests who are looking for the accustomed smell, if they're looking for a cabbage, for example, and come across the geranium, then their smell receptors go all haywire. We also have thyme, we have rosemary. So any herbs that we use, we intersperse them in the regular crops. I just want to show you, those of you who saw the original video or will go back and look at it. A year ago, this Scotch bonnet was a tiny little thing about a foot from the ground. It has been producing peppers for the entire year. Looks a little in need of fertilizer or nutrition right now, but it has another few months to go. But you should by now be planting a replacement pepper when your pepper tree starts to look like this. So that's it for the food section. Let me move on to essentially what is the fruit tree section. To my right is a small lychee tree at the edge of a bed of amaryllis. Moving down the slope and to my right, the next tree is an ackee tree. It's about 5 years old and it's yet to produce its first fruits. Next is the Loquat tree, which bore very well last year. It's towering over the small June plum tree, original tree, which has not stopped bearing in the 4 years it's been in this spot, but it's getting a little overcrowded by the Loquat tree. And this is our tiny propagation nursery. Nestled under this very large and very nice avocado tree. And it's a fitting place to end our tour of the garden. Now, as you can see, we've been very busy throughout the year just gone, and we've shared most of the developments with you in the videos that we've posted, and we'll continue to do so in the coming year. And this is a great place to end with a shaft of sunlight just bursting through the clouds to say thank you for keeping our company in the last year. We look forward to those of our regular subscribers or regular viewers to continue with us. And if there are any suggestions that you have that we can improve what we're doing or broaden our coverage, please let us know in the comment box. We've had fun doing this first year and certainly are committed to continue doing so in the year to come. If you like this video, give us a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and don't forget, once a week, at the end of the week, Calyx uploads a new video. So until the next video, this is Thelma in the food section of the Calyx garden saying bye-bye.